Hello, hello, everyone. We are live tonight for our first IG of the year. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. We are about to get started soon, but just waiting for those to come in. I see Tiara in the building. And welcome to the first IG of 2023. Happy New Year to everyone. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. It's Friday.
It is definitely Friday. Friend, I didn't get the memo for me to wear my shirt. I should have worn my shirt tonight.
I had
But
to
listen,
rock
I'm still
tonight.
wearing black related, but
Okay. Everyone
yes,
get
the
your
network tee.
BSPN. Hold up. Get your
Hello,
Black
everyone.
School Psychologist Network. Get you one of these.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you can buy from our website. Let's see. Who do we have joining us tonight? You can put in the chat where you're tuning in from.
I think she lost connection. As we wait for Tiara to get back on, just let us know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. I'm about to let our guests in on the live in a little bit. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. If this is the first time you're tuning in to our monthly IG Live, welcome. We are excited tonight about our guest speakers that we have. There she goes.
I'm back. My internet doesn't want
We're
me
not
to be
having
great
that
today. I was trying to promote our shirt, and the internet don't want us to get our network shirt. See? Terrible. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Listen,
Tonight's going to be so
I'm
much fun.
excited.
Aline,
I am excited to see you.
And that's our first one of the year, like 2022 IG Live. Just disclaimer, if you have not seen the ones from May up until December, like go check them out. They're on our Instagram, they're on Facebook. They are hilarious. And we've had amazing speakers, so please check those out. Share with a friend. So for those who are new, my name is Tiara Bland, one of the co-founders and chief of staff for BSPN. And I am actually a professor in a school psych program at California State University, Sacramento. So my co-host.
Hi, everyone. So I am Aline Milfort. I am also a co-founder of BSPN, currently in the Texas, Houston area, completing my postdoc in private practice. So it's I'm a non-traditional school psych ST, but I'm excited to be here with you all.
Yes, and so everyone knows, like, our mission of BSPN is to support, elevate, and advance the work of Black school psychologists. So thank you all for tuning into our monthly IG Lives. This would not be possible without you. So with further ado, we want to go ahead and have our guest, Dr. Harper. She's in the building. I see her in the chat.
See if I can get her on here.
And unfortunately tonight, Dr. Stacey Williams is not able to join us, but she will be one of our featured session presenters at the summit. So please make sure you
just
join
invited Dr. Harper to join us. All right. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
How are y'all?
Long time.
It's been too long. It's been like years.
Yeah. Way too long. So nice. So Dr. Harper, will have you introduce yourself. We did give a brief bio on our caption for the live, but if you want to share with people who may not have read it, that would be great.
I'll keep it brief. So I'm Erin Harper. I am a school psychologist. I have been, I don't even want to give away the years. I'm like, I can't even years. I think I'm at like 18 now since I started. I practiced for about 8 years in K-12 schools. So before that, I graduated in psychology from Spelman College, and then I did all of my grad studies in school psychiatry. I'm in a department of psychiatry now, and so that's weird. Like my brain's all mixed up. So I did my master's, my EDS, and my PhD at Georgia State in school psychology, and I practiced for 8 years in school districts throughout Atlanta. In about 2014, I decided to make the transition to academia. So I went to Miami University of Ohio. That's where I had my first faculty position in the Department of Educational Psychology and the School Psych program. And I was there for 4 years. And after that, I came down to Texas in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. And I was at A&M Commerce for about 4 years. And now I'm going into my 4th month at UT Southwestern Medical Center, where I'm a senior research scientist. And so I have had a lot of different careers in school psych, a lot of different jobs, and I'm happy to talk more about those and provide more detail about that. So,
nice. Yeah, we're definitely going to.
I said thank you for having me.
Oh, yes. And we're also excited to have you as a breakout session speaker for the summit. And I know it is going to be great.
Y'all, if you guys are not familiar with Dr. Erin Harper, this lady is funny. When I tell you, she has me cracking up on a daily, y'all. And I'm just so excited to have her with us because she has so much gems and wisdom and has been in different settings. And so she can drop a lot of knowledge tonight. So if you do have questions as we progress throughout the night, please feel free to drop it in the chat. All right. See, I'm telling you, everyone's saying she is hilarious. So we're going to just jump into the first question. You kind of answered how you have been in different settings as a professor and now a research scientist, but what led you, or how did you become an actual school psychologist? Like, what was your drive to become one?
Well, like so many people, I've heard people even on your previous IG lives talk about how they came into the field, and like so many folks, I stumbled upon school psychology, right? Like we all know that it's not talked about a lot in undergrad textbooks, and if you don't know a school psychologist, a lot of times you may not even know the field exists. So my junior year at Spelman, I took a class at Morehouse. It was a psych seminar class, and we had guest speakers come in all the time. Dr. Arletta Brinson, who has become one of my lifelong mentors, she came as a guest speaker to class, and she talked about her experience in school psych. She did a really good job of selling school psych. So this was way for the NASP Exposure Project, which is a great project that's been led by Dr. Charles Barrett and a lot of folks on the African American subcommittee within NASP. But she and so many folks who came before were doing this work, going into colleges, universities, high schools, talking to folks about the benefits of school psychology, the need for school psychologists, particularly the need for school psychologists of color and from diverse backgrounds to enter the field. And so I can't remember everything she said that day, but she sold me, and I can't remember a few things that she said. She was just kind of talking about, I had done an internship. I was a psych major, but I was also interested in education. And so I did an internship at an early childhood education center, and that got me really interested. I also have an aunt, Dr. Charlene Harper Brown, who's a child psychologist, and even though she's not a school psychologist, she's worked with children for years, and I had always looked up to her and thought that what she did was so cool. And so that's how I really I first found out about the field and applied to programs and ended up staying in Atlanta and going right down the street to Georgia State. Which has grown so much over the past 20 years since I was there. But that's kind of how I got into the field.
Nice. That's so cool that you actually your class actually talked about school psych, because School psych is not in textbooks. It's nowhere to be found. I always tell people it is a hidden gem within the field. And luckily, you already knew someone too. Because I'm like, I tell people all the time, like, I've never met a school psych. I never knew this field even existed. So it's funny how most of us have just kind of like stumbled
Yes,
in the field,
definitely.
right?
That same thing with me. I've always heard of clinical
Right.
psychology, and I felt that was the only route you had to take to even be able to work in different settings outside the school. And a lot of people don't understand, like, being a school psych, that's where it's at, right? Like, it's a flex because we have so much expertise from assessments, but we can work in so many different settings. So that's amazing.
Right. And I didn't know about all the pathways that you could even take as a school psychologist until I got into it. I got into it because of my love for education and psychology, but I had no idea that we could go on to practice privately, that we could sit for the same exams the clinical psychologists could. I just had no idea. And so I feel like I got lucky by going into a school psych program and finding out all the different pathways I could take that were not, because I looked at clinical psychology programs too. And I didn't apply to any. I decided I was committed to school psych, but I think that once I got into it and realized how much to do, I was like, okay, I hit the jackpot,
Right.
you know, by choosing school psych. So,
Okay. Yeah, so we already have some questions rolling in, which kind of ties into what you've been talking about. Someone asked, how did you make the jump to a research scientist?
that's a really good question. So, like I said, I was a practicing school psychologist, then I was school psych faculty, and I had no intention to leave. I was already tenured, been tenured for a year or two, I think a year, and had no intention to leave. I was the coordinator for the school psychology program. I was enjoying my life, enjoying my, being faculty, and like I had a good work-life balance in my position. And I was recruited. So they reached out to me from UT Southwestern Medical Center to let me know about a position there working on school and youth mental health initiatives. And so I told them first, I was like, oh no, thanks, but I don't want that. I think they were like, well, I had a student who worked there in the center, and she was saying, she's like, well, just look into it, consider it. I want some more Black girl magic in the center. And she's like, just let me know what you think. So I said, okay, I'll look into it. I'll look into y'all's programs and look at the work that you're doing. And I work at Southwestern Medical Center in their Center for Depression Research and Clinical Care. And so when I started looking at the body of work that they produced at the center, I also, I had this interest in depression research just because of looking at the rising rates of suicide in Black youth. And so in the back of my mind, that's something I really wanted to get more into, because most of my research had focused on, co-creating interventions, participatory interventions with Black youth and families. So I said I had been wanting to delve deeper into that, but with my program coordination task and all the other stuff, I hadn't really been able to dig into it as much as I wanted to. And so it was almost like, I believe in journaling, manifesting, and I've written, in my journal, some things about wanting to do more youth mental health work and things like that. And this position seemed to have come out of nowhere. And I said, wow. And it was really the work that was being done there. And once I went to meet with the people, there was a long series of conversations that were, pretty much interviews, talking to different staff members at the center to kind of, I guess, gauge the fit there. And one thing that they kept saying to me was, we really recruit not based on a specific position, but based on talent. And so we want people for who they are and their passion and what they want to do. And you have a lot to explore here and to what you want this position to be. And I'm like, this is too good to be true. Like, I get to do it I want. So it's they said, we have a lot of people here working at the center who, they may have been hired to do one thing, they become really interested in something else, and we try to really nurture that. And so, I mean, I couldn't say no at a point, right? And like, everybody's like, are you sure you want to leave a tenured position? Are you sure you got a guaranteed job for life, basically? Like, yeah, good point. And that was the thing, that one of the things that kind of, you know, kept me from jumping on this right away, even after doing research on the center. But I've always been kind of a risk taker. I always kind of not gone along the same path as everybody else. And so, you know, even when I left my K-12 position, when I was working for Atlanta Public Schools, that was a risk in itself too, because I kind of like I left money on the table when I broke my contract, and, you know, it was just kind of like, but I'm like, okay, if I go take a faculty position, I get to learn so much. I get to, you know, and teaching, you're learning as you teach, and because you have to stay on top of the latest literature. And I said, I gotta explore. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm comfortable right now. Working for a large urban public school system, particularly at that time, you can make really good money. You know, I had bought houses, I invested, I had, you know, everything I wanted for the most part. And the job that I got was in the middle of, I'm not gonna say the middle of nowhere, Ohio. I'm not gonna do Ohio like that. Ohio. But it was in Oxford, Ohio. And ain't a lot of Black people in Oxford, Ohio, and Miami University. So coming from the Black capital of the world, right? I said, this is going to be quite a change. But I saw an opportunity to grow professionally and to learn. And the same thing with this new position. I saw an opportunity to work with some amazing people and researchers and to learn. And so really the senior research scientist, that's my official title. But honestly, I'm doing a lot of other things. So I'm doing a lot of outreach throughout the state to implement school mental health programming throughout the state. I am helping to really grow. We're based in Dallas, but we just started a Fort Worth location. So I'm helping to grow, working with other folks to lead the development of the Fort Worth location. So out there with Texas Christian University, who just got beat so bad last week. I'm sorry. But in Fort Worth, where there is a critical need for additional youth mental health programming all throughout the state of Texas, really, we're last in access to mental health, quality mental health care. And so there's a real need to develop mental health programming for young folks in the state. So I'm getting to do almost all the things that in this one job, I'm getting to do a lot of the things that I want to do. So yeah, that's a very long answer, but I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I feel like I wish I had a notepad. I feel like I just heard so many things, like taking risks, being okay with new opportunities that may arise, even if that's out of state, maybe not a city or state that you may be looking at. Like, I don't even know if I'm in California right now, as I was in Maryland.
I would
Anything else
like,
to add to that, Aline?
as
I
she
feel like
was
there
talking, as Erin, you were talking, I also understood that you said they came looking for you. So people are watching us more than we think, right? Yeah. Even if we feel like we're in one sector. So doing your work, we often, especially in this work, in this time as SPs, like, it's some heavy work right now. And just knowing that every SP that's out there, student, that your work doesn't go unnoticed. Right. So that was one thing that really stood out to me. Is like, you said you didn't apply. They came looking for you. So you flex with that. That's amazing.
Yeah. I know they're well, let me not get back on another tangent. You go ahead with your next question.
Which kind of ties in with our next question. You kind of answered it, but and we have a question that came into the comments. We'll ask that after. It says, so what does a typical day look like? You kind of touched on that you're doing so many things. You're already starting another branch in Fort Worth, but is there any other thing you would want to add to that?
No, I like it because each day it's kind of in the field working in K-12 schools, right? And even in academia, and a lot of times no 2 days are just alike. So, you know, any given day I could be out. You know, I work closely with the public education and community outreach team. So I do a lot of outreach and going to schools and universities and talking to them about our, program offerings. I get to, I'm working on, there's one study that we're trying to grow, particularly in the Fort Worth area. It's a depression biomarker study. And I'm working with a team of psychiatrists, psychologists, people from it's an interdisciplinary team. And we meet weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, to talk about where the study is, because it's a huge 10-year longitudinal study. And the ultimate goal is to develop a biomarkers blood test that when you go to your doctor, and you can get a blood test just like you can go get tests for, a variety of other medical issues. When you go for depression, a lot of times for treatment, it's just a trial and error, seeing what best fits for this person. Is it this type of medication? Is it that type of medication? So forth and so on. But with this type of test that the team is aiming to develop, and honestly, it's such a big project, and I'm so new. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. But it will, based on your biomarker, hopefully everything from your gut health to doing MRIs, EEGs, you will be able to get a more customized treatment for depression, right? And so it won't just be, oh, let's guess and let's put you on this and let's do that. But based on these biomarkers, it will be able to be, more fit specifically for you. So that's one. I'm learning so much, and I believe being a lifelong learner is so important. And honestly, I started out when I was in undergrad. I started out as a bio pre-med major, and eventually switched to psych. But that love for bio pre-med, I was thinking about going into neuropsych before school psych. But that love for that is kind of a full circle thing to be back working, at the intersection of medicine and school psych, because I am kind of getting to do all those things that I was initially interested in too, and relearn a lot of things. And so I'm here for the adventure. I welcome being the person in the room who doesn't have all the answers. A lot of times in our meetings, I'm just taking it all in at month 3 or 4, at month 4 for me. And I am excited to be able to learn so many new things and put so many different aspects of my interests together. So
that is awesome.
Nice.
Where's the question? Oh, there it is. T, did you have something you want to say, or?
Yeah, there was one that popped up in the chat that was pretty good, that kind of ties to what we're talking about now. The person kind of wanted to know, what advice would you give someone who's wanting to or interested to pivot into research, especially when your position is mainly been therapy and assessment. So how can someone maybe make that? What advice would you give to someone who's interested in
well, I think it also depends on where you are and what setting you're currently in. I would say, for example, if you're practicing school psych and you're not programmed or doctoral program or special, doctoral program doing research, I would reach out to faculty to let them know maybe that you have an interest in volunteering. There are folks who are always looking for people who are willing to support their work, who are volunteering, and let folks know. Particularly if you have connections in the field, if you're a part of your professional organization, maybe getting involved in committees and subcommittees that are doing research and writing and, those things. So I would start with your personal connections and folks about potential projects that you can get involved with. And no task is really too small to support. Research, you may just have to start with some basic types of data processing types of things, but you can let people know what you're interested in and just put yourself out there, and folks will make space for you. So yeah, I think you just have to kind of reach out, staying connected, and being involved in networks like this. And shout out to y'all for even creating. I see Byron is on, and it's so wonderful to have created this space for us, right? And being able to, NASP is wonderful. Without NASP, I would not have been able to develop in the way that I have. So having that national organization, having the African American subcommittee to be involved in, and now having the Black School Psychologist Network, this is so important for us to be able to be our authentic selves, have our own space, and create our own thing. So shout out to y'all for really even doing this, and it's really an honor to be involved at the beginning and to be able to watch you grow over the next years and decades. So
thank you. No, that's awesome. Someone also asked, this ties in with what you're just saying, will you have an opportunity to publish your research?
I will. There are several data sets that if I want to probably pull data from focusing on Black girls. If I want to create new research studies, I can do that through the center. My focus, one of my areas of specialty is, my son, qualitative research. So they're heavy quant people at the center, and so that I can bring to the table, and being able to add some of my experience and research with qualitative research to to enhance the studies, right? We know mixed methods research, adding that qualitative piece just enhances research, being able to get in-depth views on participants' experiences and perspectives. That's invaluable, and so I am excited about being able to do that. I'm also enjoying though the not having the pressure there of that's all we want you to do. I'm loving having the freedom to explore my hands in a lot of different things. I've had a lot of jobs over the years. I've had in school psych, always had a side thing, right? I've always had something else. I've always done between real estate investing and sales and doing comedy, performing and writing. Like I've always done like a lot of different things because that's what I enjoy. I can't just have my hand in one thing at a time. And so I'm getting to use all of those skills. I'm getting to use the skills that I learned in consultation as a school psychologist. I'm having to go out and meet with people and in front of people all day, and they don't want to just talk to boring people who don't have a sense of humor, So
Right.
I'm getting, as my friend said on here, and do basically improv in everyday life and improvise. It's really exciting to be able to do that. Now, I don't want to paint a picture of this perfect. Anytime you're working for an institution, you're working for an academic center, a school, you're going to deal with those systemic issues that make certain elements of your job hard. And, I think that it is still possible to thrive in those environments, particularly when you are able to advocate for some of that level change. And that's something I've already been able to do. I'm not shy about going to the folks who I report to when there's something that I may see that I may find a little uncomfortable or have questions about, or hear something, and I'm able to confidently address those issues and advocate for changes in that way. I'm still new, so of course I can't. I'm still learning the culture, right? And so even my research, the models that I use, that's the first step, right? You have to learn the culture, and before you can really start to make recommendations and for change, you have to just kind of peek the landscape and figure out what's going on, talk to people. A lot of what I've been doing right now is just interviewing my colleagues and coworkers about, what it is that they do, what are their perceptions about working, their views about working where we work, and those types of things, just listening to people. So that contributes, that I don't know. Go to the next question.
No, but This is really good.
No, this is good.
I was,
Yeah, because I mean, both Aileen and I are both started new positions this year, and I'm sure there's other viewers on here as well who may have started new positions or transitioned to new careers within school psych. So I love just like almost called like spying the land, seeing what's out there, what's happening, the policies that are in place. Because I feel like at first I wanted to be like, this something wrong with this. Like maybe this course sequence needs to be changed, or like just thinking about all these things. And for me, it was like, okay, let me just step back as a new person and observe. And like you're saying, interviewing your coworkers before just trying to be like, oh, I want to fix this and that. They're probably looking at me like, who is this new girl?
But instead of it has been like I've made suggestions. Even to the director, and like, okay, anybody ever thought about doing XYZ? Like, no, so you do it. And you plan it, now. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is okay, all right. So there's been receptivity to those ideas, which is cool. And so, but I do think that it is important, and this is month 4, not month 1. So I think it is important to start to, to really learn the culture and peep out. My friend said workplace sociology is very important. Basically, that's what it is. And so learning the landscape to be able to then use what you're learning to contribute to change.
Nice. This question that came in. We have a lot of questions that are coming in right now. How does one navigate finding a mentor within the workspace of academia as a new hire?
That's a good question, and something that I have written about, and I think that there's so many different ways to find a mentor. Professional networks are huge, and the thing is, there are mentors for so many different types of mentors we can have, right? You may have a mentor who's the person you go to about publishing and research, mentor who's helping you with just kind of balancing, work and life. Your mentors who are, just in a lot of different areas, and mentors who may not be people personally, but who you have observed and who are doing work that you're interested in, that you can, you just kind of, a virtual mentor to you. But I think our professional networks are one of the most valuable tools, like this network, like our national associations, NAS, Division 16 of APA, and so forth. I think that these networks are critical because you will find opportunities for mentorship, and not just to be mentored, but also to be a mentor. So I think that these networks provide, great tools for that. I think even regardless of your setting, whether it is K-12 schools, whether it's university settings, always kind of, taking initiative and reaching out to folks who you think would be receptive to mentoring you. I think that, being in the mix is important, right? Going to stuff, volunteering for stuff. So at my last faculty position, I got there the same year that the new president got there. And one day I volunteered to go to commencement. Any faculty go to commencement. So I volunteered for a summer commencement. It was a small ceremony. And I ended up, the president, we ended up talking after the ceremony, and he's like, let's get lunch one day. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I followed up and I said, hey, Dr. Rudin, you said, let's get lunch. How about we get lunch? And some presidents might have been like, oh yeah, well, I do, but I'm super busy and I can't fit it in, or let's try to schedule that later. He was like, let's get it on the calendar. Later, we were at lunch, and before you know it, like, this was someone who I interacted with regularly, and a lot of university presidents aren't necessarily that accessible. And so he was someone who stayed in my corner advocating for me, and it was really good to have like a good connection with the university president like that, because I learned a lot from him. And it was just, it was a unique connection in that, like, a lot of presidents, I think more presidents are becoming more accessible now, but just to have someone in your corner at that level who was committed to your, you know, growth and development was important. And it came from, you know, following up, being in the mix, you know, forming like a natural connection. But I think it's also fine to, like, you know, somebody who you want to do or whose research you're interested in, you may have never met them before, to send an email. Folks respond, you know, and I think you should just give it a shot. Like, don't ever think that something that is too big, or that you're you know, that you're not worthy of you know, connecting with people, because they're real people, regular people like you, right? And it's just, you know, folks a lot of times love talking about their work. You see how much I'm talking, you know? Yeah, like Dr. Malone said, the importance of being authentic and taking initiative. And looking back, in retrospect, I feel like even when I was in graduate school, that I could have done more of that, right? And so even when I was writing about that in a book chapter, it wasn't a school psych book chapter, but it was a general, you know, mental health practitioners chapter on mentoring Black school psychologists. I talked a lot about kind of, you know, that importance of taking initiative. And that didn't come from because I was taking so much initiative as a grad student. A lot of that came in retrospect, and wishing that, although I had some great university mentors, I wish I had reached out outside of my university when I went to NASP, and, you know, kind of being scared to kind of go up to people and talk to people. I ended up doing it as a junior faculty, because I'm like, this is what I have to do, like, to get to the next level. I got to get out of my comfort zone. I got to break out of this. But now that I'm in that position, I realize, I'm like, these folks are just regular folks, just like you. Have some self-confidence, go up to them, tell them what you're interested in. They delight in you. You know, most folks, you know, you got a couple folks who are just weird. But most folks delight that, love to establish a connection, and would love to help and support you.
This is good.
Yes. It's like, don't be afraid to know people. That's, yeah. So Byron in here is just blowing up our chat, Erin. I don't know if you saw, but he wanted to let you guys, any deltas that are viewing into Erin, happy founders, the ladies of Sorority Incorporated.
Yes.
And Byron also had a question for you. He is cracking me up as always. So he goes, school psychology or comedy? You have to pick one. What you pick and why?
So I'm not falling into that trap. Because I'm a big advocate of being able to of staying true to yourself, right? And doing those things that you love to do. When I first started academia, I thought that I kind of had to, like, separate these parts of my identity, and I need to be serious, or somebody's gonna, like, think I'm not super serious about my work, and they're not gonna respect me, and, like, all that stuff. And you have to put that aside and do what makes you happy. And you know, of course, there may be some settings or environments that you're in where they may not, you know, fully appreciate that, and then you kind of make the decision of, you know, how might this affect me, and am I willing to live with the outcome of that? But once again, I always took the risk, and I said, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm still going to do comedy. I'm still going to, you know, I'm still going to write, you know, write literature, not children's literature, because I'm still going to write things that may not be looked at by my colleagues as serious, or they might be taking time away from my work. But it's what makes me, what brings me joy, and it's what I need to be a balanced person, so that I can give more in my, you know, academic job. Now, would I love to do comedy full time? Would I love to write an Abbott Elementary? Of course I would. That would be awesome. But once again, or not once again, because I haven't said this, but I think that there's something you can take from each of your professional experiences that will make you stand out in those other things that you like to do, right? And things that you can And so I learned so much working in schools. And this is why I tell, practicing school psychologists, it's a really hard time to be a school psychologist right now because the demands are so high and the structures that that need to support us and students and families aren't the strongest, and there aren't the most resources, right? And so it's a really hard time to be a school psych. It's really easy to burn out. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you're in these positions and you yes, it's hard. And I'm not saying just like it's going to be easy, but to take as much as you can from these experiences. And if there's something else you really want to do, think about how those skills can translate into those other careers or hobbies, or, to strengthen what you really want to do. I can write about mental health in a way that someone who doesn't have my background can write about. So the more I learn about depression and working in the Depression Research Center, the more of an expert, or the more knowledgeable I will become about that area, and can write a character who has these experiences in a way that I couldn't if I wasn't doing this work. So I say, whatever it is that you love, like, don't feel like you have to put it aside in your role. And keep doing what it is that you feel like, you have a gift for, that you're here on this earth for. Really look at your values and look at what your purpose. And I think you can find things in the current role that you're in to kind of make them align, so that when you're ready to, take, in my case, comedy writing and so forth, you're really ready to do more of that. You can use what you had, and just don't. It's easy to some positions, particularly with. I've had positions when I was working in schools where, and I'll just say it, I worked in Atlanta public schools during that whole cheating scandal, when a lot of folks went to jail for intimidation and creating these workplace cultures that were miserable. And I experienced that real time. Like, I experienced that and can talk a lot about that at another time. But it was a situation where I had to kind of take what was my experience there and say, okay, how can I use this for the next thing? So,
love that. And Dr. Charles Barrett, who likes us to call him Charles, says school psych is more than a position, but it's a set of skills that you can use to do whatever you want. And that is so true.
That's right.
So true. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. She's dropping jams tonight. I love this. I'm telling y'all, Erin is funny.
And hey, I saw Persephone. I can't, I'm scared to like touch my phone and stuff because it may fall down. I have it propped up in a very manner right now. So yeah, I'm like, hey y'all, but I can't type right.
Let's see. I don't think there's any more questions
right
there. And time is just flying. Like, I cannot believe it's like the hour's almost gone. But we do have a few more questions as they relate to the summit. So if you have not registered for the Black School Psych Summit, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to register. Regular rates have started, so head over to our website. We have a phenomenal list of presenters. So please just go check out our website. You can see it on our Instagram as well, all our presenters. But as we're talking about the summit, our viewers want you to share, Erin, maybe about your topic that you plan to
without sharing the title.
Not bad. Okay, so I have a few ideas for presentations, right? My participatory, and I believe in creating with the people who I am serving. And so I would love, and I don't know, we may not have enough people to get feedback on, but I would love folks to hear like what you want me to talk about, right? Like, I could talk about career pathways and transitions in school psychology. That's the number one topic that I had that I think I want to talk about. But I can talk about career pathways and transitions in school psych, mentoring in school psych, whether it be from the mentee's perspective and the mentor's perspective, particularly mentoring Black school psychologists. I've done some work with Dr. Celeste Malone in that area, who, not to name drop, but she's just so dope, right? Like, she has been my peer for years, and without her, like, I would have no career, right? Like, she has been so instrumental in my growth and development. And so even working with her on mentoring, writing about mentoring, I have learned so much as a peer to her. So I'm happy to present about mentoring, discriminatory research with Black youth and families. I could talk about that. I could talk about a lot of things. So, you know, if there are any preferences, if I don't get a lot of feedback, I will probably end up going with career pathways and transitions in school psychology. So,
yes,
all right, y'all.
drop
So this
it
is
in
your
the chat.
time. Put it in the chat, like different options. So if there's something that you like, please put it in the chat so that way we can narrow down a topic for Erin for the summit. Final thing. I'll give y'all 2 seconds. Right,
you are way too kind. You are way too kind to me.
Let's see. Maybe people not.
No,
Maybe they
quick
still
with the fingers. Okay.
So yeah, I would talk about career pathways and transitions in school psychology. So.
Okay. And for those who don't know, we are doing a homecoming theme. So some of our presentation titles are pretty dope. So shout out to the speakers on being creative with their topics. I cannot wait to release that summit schedule soon. So just stay tuned, y'all. It's coming soon. All the presentation topics
to y'all soon. I know it was I roll
due today.
So I will get it to you ASAP. I promise.
Perfect. Thank you. And then I guess the final question that we have is, what is one thing you're looking forward to or excited about?
Oh, I'm excited about, because I know it'll be a different vibe, right? Like, I know it won't, you know, it'll be, I mean, don't get me twisted. We have a really good time at NAS, right? We make time for the academic stuff, and and we also have a good time. But I like that it will be focused on us, because we can just have nonverbals that we just know what we mean. Like, we can be not to say we can't be our authentic selves within whatever space we're in, but just to be fully surrounded by Black folks. That's what I'm excited about. Of course I'm excited about it being in Atlanta, right? Because that's my home. But I'm just looking forward to the social as much as the learning experience, because I know it will be a great learning experience as well. So,
yes, thank you. And so, Erin, looks like we got some more votes in the chat. I think a lot of people are liking the pathways and transitions topic.
And I would like to thank my non-school psych friends who are here, who are entertaining. That is so special. Thank y'all for being here on a Friday night. I love y'all.
Oh, that's so sweet. Someone said the summit just hits different when it's us. I know that's right. That is so true. So, Aline, do you want to? Oh, and I guess before we close out, Erin, how can our viewers follow you on Twitter or Instagram to stay in the loop with you or anything that you're doing?
My handle is Erin A. Harper. Erin A. Harper. So I'm that on Twitter. I'm sure. I think on Instagram, on Facebook. If you look for me by Erin A. Harper, you'll find me. So that's where you can find me. I am, happy to make new connections and look forward to meeting new folks. So hopefully everybody who's on will be at the summit, and we'll be excited to be there. So.
Love it. Yes. So we're wrapping up because IG can be disrespectful and shut you down. So we are going to do some mini announcements. Y'all, just if you didn't hear our announcement today, we are officially a nonprofit organization. We're a 501c3. So we're excited about that. And if you are not following us or subscribed to our website, please do that at www.bspn, so that's bspninc.com, and subscribe to keep up with our events and our monthly lives. So if you enjoyed tonight, we do this every month with different speakers. So those are my announcements. T, I don't know if I missed anything. I love you, Dr. Erin Harper. I love it. Like, you're amazing. This lady is funny. I'm telling you, I'm going to keep saying it, but it's funny.
Happy you all are doing this, particularly so early in this part of your careers. And creating a space for us to be us is so important. So shout out to you all the officers and executive boards, and Byron for having vision, along with any colleagues who helped him start. I think this is just a really important and beneficial space for us. So thank y'all for having me.
I agree. And then, Aline, just to add on to your announcements too, like, we cannot do this without you all. So we are accepting donations. We appreciate those who have gave already and that give on a monthly basis. We really, really appreciate you all. Even if you're not able to come to the summit, you can still donate like 5, 10, 20, 25, whatever a dollar amount makes a big difference. Like, we're trying to do something that has never happened before. A Black School Psych conference. So we appreciate any donations. And if you haven't heard the announcement a while ago, but Delta Airlines has provided us with a special discount, which is also on our website. So make sure you get your airlines, your flights through Delta,
Omni.
and book your rooms through the Omni Hotel, which is as our summit. So yeah, I think that's all of the announcements we have. Tonight has been amazing. Erin, thank you so much for being our special guest this month. And I hope everyone will tune in for our next IG Live next month. Actually, we're going to be live from NAS, which is going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned, and everyone have an amazing weekend.
Bye.
Bye.